Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Comic Coloring 101. This is episode 11, and today we'll be talking about layer blending modes. Let's see here. First, in Photoshop, we'll have our layers palette. I have mine down here in the bottom right hand corner. If you're not seeing this, you go up to your top Photoshop menu and click on Window and get that drop down, and you'll see a option for layers. Or you can hit your F7 key, and that'll bring it right up as well. So yeah, the layer modes that we're going to be talking about are located right here on the layers palette. So you see it says normal, which is like the default. And then we have all these other options right here. Let me go ahead and enlarge this guy put together. It's just a screen grab of the layers palette, and we're going to talk about these guys a little bit. Up at the very top, we can see it's broken down into groups. So we have normal, which is again just the default. It's how you would just view the color, like you just paint on that layer, and that's just how it would naturally appear. You know, you get a regular color. Dissolve is a little bit trickier to describe. It kind of decides randomly with which pixels to have appear and disappear, so you kind of get like a airbrush looking effect with that. But those are like the two. They don't really fit into these other categories, so we won't really go into too much depth with those. But we have the first major group: darken, multiply, color mode, linear burn. I'm sorry, color burn, linear burn, darker color. With these guys up in here, these are considered darken modes. If you use any of these guys, then the resulting color is going to be darker. And the next ones is going to be lighten modes. So that's lighten, screen, color dodge, linear dodge, and lighter color. So any of those, if you put any color on those and put it up against your base color, it's going to end up with a lighter color. Hopefully that makes sense. And your next big bunch is overlay, soft light, hard light, vivid light, linear light, pin light, and a hard mix. And those are contrast modes. Let me see, I think I had... yeah, so what that'll do, that'll both darken and lighten the image. It'll take bits and it's kind of hard to describe. So darker parts of it, it'll make darker, and lighter parts, it'll make lighter. In order to add more contrast to it. And the next group, we have difference, exclusion, subtract, divide, in those comparative modes. It'll take your base color and your blending color, and it'll compare the two together and decide from that how it will react for the resulting color. And your next one's going to be the hue, saturation, color, luminosity. And those are your composite modes. And that'll do, let me see if I can remember, deal with the color or lightness of the image. So we could adjust just the hue of it, the saturation, the color, or the luminosity, how light it is, by using these guys. Let's go into... Well, let me do this first. I know not a whole lot of people are into math, but I don't know. I've always kind of been a fan and problem solving and stuff like that. And it's not that these are just random. You have your base color, and you have your blending color, the color that you're putting on this on one of these new layer modes, blending modes, and it uses math between those two colors, the base and the blending color, and each one of these has like a different algorithm as to how it decides what that final color is going to be. And let me just kind of run through this pretty quickly because I think it's pretty interesting. So the Photoshop, it always give black a value of 0, and white is always going to have a value of 255. That'll be the lightest white you can have. So we have our base color, and this example is just going to be for the multiply layer mode. And if you want to if you're as interested and not as I am about this stuff, And then you could just do a quick Google search for, blending or Photoshop blending mode math, and it's page after page after page of different algorithms. If you get bored one day, whatever. If you're as much of a nerd as I am. Anywho, all right, so how we're going to figure this out. So we have our base color, which is like this pinkish color right here with the value, RGB value of 215, 100, 145. And our blend color is this blue color, which is a value of 108, 187, and 253. Now I'm going to have to, let me see, I think I have these written down here. Yeah, so I have to pull out the calculator on this stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do, we have to figure out how much of a percentage of white these colors are. So we have 108. Let me pull out my calculator real quick. Let me get that. Now, here we go. Awesome, I already have it on the screen. So we have a value of 108. And we'll divide that by 255, which is our white, and we'll get 0.42. Okay? And now we'll take that. Let me exit out for this real quick. So we have our, or you could say 42%. So we take this 215 right here, and we'll multiply that 42% by it to get this new red value. So let's go back to our calculator real quick. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have this, and we'll times, what was it? 215 equals 91.05. They will just round it to 91. That should be fine. So let's go back to this guy down here. Oops. Let me back that out a little bit. So this is going to be, let me get a black or white. Should be on a layer. We'll get rid of these. And that guy too. What'd I say it was? 91. Right? So 91 is going to be our new red. So let's do the same real quick. So I have to keep on switching over to here. So the new value, let's see, was 187 for the green divided by 255, right? Equals 73%. So we'll take that other value, which was 100 of our original base color. So, and then we'll multiply that by 100. That'll equal 73, right? And now for our last one, which was, let me see, 253. Oh wait, let me write this one down real quick. So it is 73. I'm hoping I'm doing this right, if I can remember it. I was practicing this all day yesterday. Okay, so 253, right? And then we divide that by 255 to get the percentage. So we get 99%. Okay, now we'll multiply that by the original blue value, 145. That'll equal 144.8. We'll just say, or I'm sorry, 143.8. We'll just round that up to 144, I believe. I believe that's how it rounds. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll try this and see if it works. So just to test this out now, let's go ahead and take this this blue color. We can raise this up on top of this, and let's set that to multiply. So you can see we get this purplish color here. I'm gonna grab that with my eyedropper, pick that color. Let's click on this. So here we see the value of it: red 91, right? Green 73, that's correct, and blue 144. So we actually got that color correct, which is pretty awesome. So I could go ahead and, oops. Color that in. Looks like I had a hole there before. All right, so there we go. And that's just one of the different math things like for all of these, but you know, sorry, I didn't want to go into a whole math lesson, but it helps to kind of have like a little bit of understanding behind it, how these algorithms work. You know, pretty much a lot of times what I'll do, I'm not thinking about like, hey, if I multiply this color by this color, it'll end up like this, and it's just more like, yeah, let me try this mode. Let me mess with the opacity. Yeah, this looks pretty good. We'll do that. A lot more by feel than anything else, but you know, to me it was interesting to read about the math of it. I don't know, maybe somebody else might like it as well. So after that, let's go ahead and I want to talk a little bit more about the individual modes. Let me get my notes here. Okay, so we're going to start with the darken modes first. So the darken mode, it'll darken colors to a new color, and it doesn't affect the colors darker than the blend color. And to kind of demonstrate that, I have another guy I put together here, more color dots. So let's say we have this green, and let's set that to darken. So you can see, like, it'll affect these guys here because that green is a darker value than that white or that blue, but it's not darker than this black, so it doesn't affect that at all. You can see it kind of darkens up a little bit here on the gray as well. Before I get too far away, let me go ahead, like a little Photoshop shortcut. So I'm probably going to be using it, so just so you guys don't get lost, I'm not going to be going over here too much. It's just if you hold down Shift and plus, you can see right here that changes the layer style, or the blending mode, excuse me. And if you do subtract, it moves it back up. So you can see it's like moving down, and then with the shift and the minus key, it goes back up. So just to let you know. Let's see, multiply, we kind of saw what happens. It'll take, again, it'll take one color with the other one and figure out the percentage of white, and then multiply it by the other color, and this is what we get. So it's almost like adding a little bit of this color to the other color, but you can see that it'll result in a darker color. You can see with this up against the white, it's always going to be like the normal color it was before, but here you can see like that little bit of blue introduced to it. Let's try the next one. It was color burn, and this could be like, we'll get to color dodge in a little bit, but it's the exact opposite of a color dodge. And the color burn, it'll darken the base color, which would be, it's like this blue, this white, or the black. It'll darken the base image depending on the darkness of this green color, like our blending color. So you can see it's not very dark, so it's not going to affect too much. Let's see here. The next one is a linear burn, and it's similar to the color burn. It darkens the base image, or the base color, with the color from our blending color. So it works pretty much the same. You can see there's not a whole lot of difference from linear burn to color burn. It's a little bit darker. Yeah, I can actually see it does affect the white. So if we go darker color now, you can see on normal we have a green with a black outline. If we go darker color, it's going to pick between one or the other. So it doesn't operate on individual color channels. So you can see it's like, okay, well, the green's darker than this white, so that color there is going to be green. The green is darker than this blue, so right here it's going to be that green. And same with the black. Well, this gray is darker than the green was, so that's going to be that gray color. But the black is darker than the gray, so you still get that outline. And of course, none of it is affecting the black because that's the darkest. All right, so that'll do it for that group. Let's get to Lighten. I'm not sure if I'm going to go through every single one of these because it is kind of cumbersome, isn't it? Honestly, out of the bunch, there's just maybe like 3 or 4 that I use like on the regular. So I'm just gonna kind of skip, I guess. Yeah, it's getting kind of boring, isn't it? All right, I'll tell you what. The main ones that I use. Let's stop BSing. The main ones I'll use is going to be the multiply, overlay, and screen and lighten. Those guys right there. Those are my main go-to. Let me put that on multiply. How's that? See, I'm even using layer style or layer blending modes to do it. These are the main guys I use all the time. And we kind of went over multiply already. Let me go over lighten. So we have this green, and it's going to be the opposite of the darken style. It lightens the colors to a new color, and it doesn't affect colors lighter than the blend color, which is the green. So again, it's not affecting the blue or the white because they're lighter colors, but the green is going to affect the black that we're seeing here and this darker gray around it. And the screen is the opposite of multiply. And it's always going to result in a lighter color. Even on this black, you can see it's a lighter color. There's a lighter color. And the screen and lighten I like to use a lot for glows. And I promise, guys, it's going to be my next video. I just wanted to kind of explain the layer blending modes a little bit first before we got into doing fantastic, amazing glows, because it is using the layer styles a lot. Let's see, sometimes I might get a little bit into a little bit of color dodge, just for an interesting effect, just to help kind of punch things up a little bit. But yeah, really not too much. I think the next one, let's go ahead and skip down to these composite modes. Let's see, the hue. You're not really going to see it too much on here. Let me get to my notes. Let me skip all this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the hue, it'll use the blend image, the green. It'll use the colors. But the saturation and the color of the base image. So this is all we're seeing is like this greenish hue is being used. It's not going to show up on the white or the black, but you can see it like here on the blue. And you see a little bit of the gray here as well from the black outline. And saturation. Again, it's just going to use the saturation of that green, and of course, saturation would be how much color there is. If there's none, then it's going to be gray. If there's a bunch, then chances are it's an illegal color, and you shouldn't be using it. But yeah, so it uses the saturation of the blending color, that green. But then it'll use the brightness and color of the base colors here, the white, blue, and black. Let's see, color I like to use a lot. And the reason I'm going over these guys, the composite modes, it's great for doing fast like revisions or something. So if you have, let me just go through this. I'll show you like practical use. Let's say, we colored this, and it's, like a nice blue color or whatever, and the creator or penciler, artist, or editor or whatever says like, hey, wait a second, that needs to be orange. Like I could just go ahead, oops, you do that. Let me not lock that one. I'll put a clipping mask on it. I'll just fill that with orange. Let's say, okay, let me go ahead and just go to color, and now it's orange. Of course, I might want to adjust a little bit more so it looks better. But just a quick example, or you want the saturation of something else or whatever. It's really quick to make those adjustments, or say you want just parts of it to be orange. So you can kind of go in like, oh, the shadow here should be an orange shadow or whatever. Let me see, normal. soft brush. You know, so I go in and still have like that blue highlight. Or say you want to just change the highlight, you know, let's make it a something that's not going to blend too well. Let's make it green. So you see we can just change the color of that one little section. Oh, let's do this part purple then. So it's a pretty handy tool. Let me get rid of that. Actually, let me go back to that just to flatten. But of those bunch, the composite ones, is really like the color is the one I'll use a lot. Yeah, I mean the luminosity really don't use, but I can go over it with you. Oops, let me set that one back to normal. That to normal, we'll go luminosity on this one. So you can see it just takes the, it's the opposite of both the color and hue blend modes. It'll just use the color of the blend color, that'll be that green, and it'll colorize the image, and it'll use the hue and the saturation of these base colors, the white, blue, and the black, and the brightness of the green. So that's what we're seeing here, is just adding the brightness of the green to these other base colors. And again, nothing too fantastic. Pretty boring. Like I said, these main ones are the ones that I'll use. You know, say, let me go back and to this blue guy. Let's go ahead and I'm just using my dodge tool. I mean, I wouldn't use color with this because look at that nasty banding it has. If I have my image, and I'll use multiply a lot to go in and add darker shadows. It's like if I have my rendering and I want to add something on top of it, a lot of times you could do that. You know, you can still see that gradient in there, but you know, it just darkens it up. And I'll go in and like just paint, you know, more shadows or whatever. Same thing with the screen or a lighten. If I want to lighten, say like a little bit of it, you get some pretty interesting colors with it as well. It's just going to lighten whatever dark color is there. So it's good for, say, like if I have this this white image and I want to lighten, say the white and the black is just on one layer. So let's go to lighten, right? And put a clipping mask on it. I can lighten just that black to whatever color I want because it's black. You know, here's some pink. But say like if I want to go to something else, you know, brown works okay, but let's pick a darker color. That's still on lighten? I guess it is. So it's still, oh, okay, yeah, because it's still darker than that. If I was just on this layer and I had it on my airbrush, oops, let me lock it. So it'll work like that. Let me see, this pink here is darker than the black, but then let's pick a color that's darker than that. Nothing's going to happen because it's just trying to lighten that color. So hope that explains it a little bit more. And of course, darken works the exact opposite way. But yeah, next week we'll put all this in good practice when we start talking about glows. And thanks for sticking around through all the boring stuff. Occasionally, like, I'll have these types of episodes where it's more classroom type of stuff, but it's stuff that helps build on to future stuff. So kind of want to get the boring stuff out of the way, and that helps explain what we're doing later on without making those videos too long. So thanks for sticking around. Couple other things. Some stuff I was working on before. I had a couple people asking what that project was. It's a book called The Round, written by Quinton Miles, who I'd worked with on Template. And I'll put the description. It's up on Comixology right now. I'll put the description for that. I can't remember the artist's name off the top of my head. I'm so sorry, man. I'll put his name in the description as well. And we're now looking at over 2,500 subscribers. So again, I've got to thank you guys so much for the support. You know, it really means a lot to me. And yeah, check out more of my work, DeviantArt, lummage.deviantart.com, and my Facebook fan page is Lummage1. That's number 1. I'll put the link for that in the description as well. And thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I shall see you next week. All right, bye-bye.